Everyone loves to talk about Texas being rigged, but what if I told you that California's gerrymandering is even crazier and that Gavin Newsom is trying to undo what California voters already voted on? Let's start with Texas. Yes, it is one of the most aggressively gerrymandered states in the country. Republican legislators draw the maps, and they do it to gain power and dilute liberal votes. It is legal, but controversial, especially in places like Austin and Dallas, where I live, where liberal voters are cracked across multiple districts. It's classic party and power makes the decision type of scenario. Not great, but at least Texas is upfront about it. California used to be like this, but back in 2008, voters approved Prop 11, which basically created Independent Redistricting Commission. Fast forward to 2010, they passed Prop 20, which extended it to congressional maps. The goal was to take the power out of the politicians' hands, keep districts fair, and let the citizens, and not the Sacramento elites, like Gavin Newsom, decide. Sounds great, right? Until Gavin Newsom. You know, our favorite California governor who has literally let his state burn to the ground and turn into a complete shithole. Lately, Gavin Newsom and his allies have been floating around ideas to reassert legislative control over the redistricting process. Or in other words, subtly influence who gets appointed to the commission. Basically undoing what voters overwhelmingly approved to do because these fair maps didn't favor the Democrats. Newsom is basically positioning it as accountability, but let's call it what it really is, political control disguised as reforms. So while all the Democrats are bashing Texas for rigging the maps, Newsom is quietly doing the same thing against the will of the California voters. The difference is, Texas owns it and California acts like they're above it, which is nothing new when it comes to conservatives versus liberals. At the end of the day, it's not about red versus blue, it's about who controls the lines, which ultimately decides the election. You see, right now, Gavin Newsom is freaking out because so many illegals who have been voting for all of these years and voting blue have now been deported. So in order for him to keep California as blue as possible, he has to figure out any way to do it. Which brings us to voter integrity. Voter integrity is super important. People should be able to show visible ID in order to vote. You need to show ID in order to buy alcohol, get on an airplane, buy lottery tickets. Why shouldn't you show ID in order to vote? If you care about voter integrity at all, this should matter no matter what state you live in. You've seen the way the Democrats have run California. Are we really going to let Gavin Newsom run for president and do the same thing to the entire country? And California voters, if you really care about this beautiful, amazing state, think about voting red.